Hey everybody, it's Onyii, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this unicorn pillow. It is flowery and pretty and bright, and I love it because it's just in time for spring. The first thing you're going to need is yarn in every color you can find. Just make sure you have two separate colors for the horn and the unicorn, and then yarn needles, scissors, and crochet hooks. The first thing you're going to need is a 5mm crochet hook, and we're going to start out with a magic circle. If you don't know how to do a magic circle, I'm going to show you, but a little bit fast. If you don't get it, there are tons of tutorials online that can help you. I start with putting my crochet hook under and bringing it up, then I'm going to chain one to end the magic circle, and then I'm going to chain one to start, and I'm going to do 10 half double crochets all the way around. I don't count my chain as one. So that's my first half double crochet. That's my second. You can see that I am struggling a little bit. I'm really sorry. I'm in a weird position when I film this, but just bear with me. I'll try to explain it as much as I can. And here I am just double checking to make sure I have all 10. And once you've double checked, just go ahead and pull that string to close the circle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find your 10th stitch, and you're going to put your hook inside, and you're going to do a slip stitch. This will get us ready for our next row. Now chain one, and we are on our next row. We're going to do 2 half double crochets in each stitch. So for the first one, you're going to find the tiny little hole in there and do your first half double crochet. And a trick I do like to use is stitch markers because I am visually impaired, and the stitch marker will tell you when to put your slip stitch in. So that was your first half of double crochet. You're going to do another one for this row and repeat that pattern all the way across. Now when you come to the end, be careful about the last stitch. That's your slip stitch and it will mess you up. But this row you should have 20. Now you're going to take out your stitch marker and you're going to put your needle, or I'm sorry, hook back in there. And you're going to do a simple slip stitch and chain one. And now we are on our third row. In this third row, we're going to do 1 half double crochet, then 2 half double crochets, and I'll demonstrate that. So back into the hole, you're going to do your first half double crochet. Don't forget your stitch marker. And then the next stitch, you are going to do 2. And then repeat this pattern all the way across. And you know you're doing it right if your last stitch has 2 half double crochets every time. So this might look a little weird, but a trick I like to use is stitch markers, aka my bobby pins, to tell me when to do half double crochets. This isn't necessary when the circle's small, but we are doing 15 rows here, so it's going to be easy to lose count of when to do your 2 half double crochets. And so this is just an easy way I like to get around that and watch Netflix at the same time. So for this row, we're going to do half double crochet, and then 2 half double crochets. I'll demonstrate that here. And then look at that, we're at a stitch marker. So I know by feel that we're going to do 2 half double crochets in that spot. And when you're done, you can just move the stitch marker back up. So this is the trick I use. We are doing about 15 rows. If you should know the pattern by now, you're adding another half double crochet on each row. So the next row is half double crochet, half double crochet, half double crochet, 2 half double crochets. The next row is going to be 4 half double crochets before you do the 2 half double crochets. And if you don't understand, I have the written pattern in the description below, and you should be able to check it out for yourself. Here we are at row 15, and now this is the easy part. We can just do 1 half double crochets in each stitch all the way around, all the way across for 2 rows. So when you're done, you should have a total of 17 rows. And when you're done, just make another one of this for the other side of the pillow, and don't forget to leave a long tail when you bind off. After making 2 of these, you're going to set them up as this is the back, this is the front, this is the front, and that's the back. There's a reason we're going to do this, you'll see in a minute. We're going to tie those together. Now we're going to stitch these closed. I do it in a weird way. I know there's some other different ways to do it. This may not be the best, but this is just how I did it for my current pillow. So as you can see, we're just going to go into those holes, make sure they line up, and we're going to do slip stitches all the way across. Actually, not all the way across. Make sure you leave a small opening because we will need to stuff them later. So here we are, we're done stitching it up and leaving a small hole, and now we are going to flip it over. There you go. And I like this method because there's hardly a seam, as you can see. And now we're ready to stuff it. So here's mistake number 1 on my part. I use quilted stuffing. You're not supposed to use that, but that's all I had. Use the regular stuffing because yours will turn out lumpy and not flat. So go ahead and just stitch up the rest of that hole. And if you're smart, you can go ahead and embroider the eyes before you stitch it up. I didn't, and I did struggle with that. That's another mistake I did. So do what's good for you. And don't worry about this jutted out seam. We will be covering it up with flowers and horns and ears, and it'll actually help because it'll make your accessories stand up like a prop. Now leave a long tail to weave in your ends and go ahead and bind off, and you should be good to go. So we're going to start with the ear of our unicorn. I'm going to start off with our magic circle. And then we are going to chain 1. This is the only time you will be chaining 1. And now we're going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. This one will be counted as 1. Now you're going to pull through very tightly, and then you're going to find the 8th stitch you did, and this is very important. We are not going to slip stitch like we've always been doing. We're just going to do a single crochet into that 8th stitch. And it's very imperative that you use a bobby pin because that will show us when our row has started. So this bobby pin signifies that we have done 1 in the next row, and our pattern is 2 in each row. in each stitch, so we're going to do one more in that same place and then 2 all the way around. And you should have a count of 16. Notice how we are crocheting all the way up to the bobby pin. That's because we didn't do a slip stitch, so we don't have that space to tell us when to stop. So now take out that bobby pin and we're ready to do the next row. This is going to be 1 stitch in each stitch. 1 single crochet in each stitch, I'm sorry. Now we're going to fold it, and you can see it's going to start looking like an ear. And now for this row, we're going to do 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochet. So your bobby pin will be your first single crochet. In the next stitch, you'll put 2 and follow that pattern all the way across. Now in this row, we're going to do 3 rows of single crochets. I don't know why I held up 2 fingers, but we're doing 3 rows of just all single crochets. So this will be our first row. This is our second row. And this will be our third row. Now for this row, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and 2 single crochets. So as you should know, your bobby pin will be your first single crochet. And here's your other single crochet, and next one will be your 2 single crochets. And here's our final row. We're going to do 1 single crochet in all of them. And that's it for our ears. This is the funnest one because it takes me about 5-10 minutes to make. Now when you're done, you can just cut off a long tail, pull that through, and you can get rid of your stitch marker, and you are good to go with your ears. You can stuff your ears if you want to. I just put a little bit just so the tip of the ears can be plump and not so flat, but that's just personal preference. Now it's time to do our horn. I'm going to use my same 5mm hook, and we're going to do our magic loop. We're going to chain 1, only time we're chaining 1, and we're going to do 4 single crochets into our loop. Now pull that closed, and then find your 4th chain, and we're going to do a single crochet into that 4th chain. Now, like always, get a bobby pin so we can mark the beginning of our first row. And for this row, it's going to be 2 in each stitch, so you have to do 1 more in that stitch and then 2 in all the others. And you should have a row count of 8. Now for this row, we're going to do 1 in each. Now start shaping it into your horn, and for this row we're going to be doing 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. For this row, we're just going to do 1 in each. For this row, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochet. For this row, we're just going to do 1 in each. And for this row, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochet. Now we're going to do 3 rows of single crochet. So this is your first row. This is our second row. And this is our third row of single crochet. And now for this row, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets. So we need 4 single crochets before we do the 2 in the same stitch. And now for this row, we're just going to do 3 rows of single crochet. So that's our first row. Here's our second row. And here is our third row. And now for this row, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 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 2 single crochets. So we need 5 single crochets before we do our 2 single crochets. And for our last and final row, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 row single crochet. And that's it. Just cut a long tail and don't forget to weave in your ends. It's good to use different crochet hooks for the flowers, but for this demonstration, I'm doing a 3.125. Flowers are the easiest. We're going to do our magic circle, and then we're going to chain. And for this flower, we're using 5 single crochets in the magic circle. I've had some flowers that I've done 6, 7, or 8. It's just how many you chain is how many petals that will be in your flower. Now find your 5th single crochet and then use the color for the petals, and you're going to do a slip stitch. And it's a good idea to chain 3. Now for this stitch, we're going to do 4 double crochets in that stitch. Now you're going to take your hook and you're going to find the 5th stitch from your loop, You're going to put that into the crochet hook. And then you're going to do a simple slip stitch and then chain 1 to secure the petal. Now for your next petal, you're going to do 5 double crochets. Now find the 5th stitch or chain from your loop and do another slip stitch. And so the rest of the petals, you're going to do 5 double crochets in them too. When you've done all your petals, you're just going to put your hook into one of the first chains you did. I don't really count. I think it's the 2nd chain you did, and you're going to do a slip stitch and then chain 1. Now you have the yarn coming out from the center, so what I do is I get a smaller crochet hook and I kind of spaghetti that extra yarn into the back of the flower. And what you want to do is you want to pull very tightly so you can close up that hole. And there's your flower, isn't it pretty? Now what you want to do is you want to tie the strings at the back a couple times just to make sure it doesn't come loose. Now you can weave in your ends if you want, but I am super lazy, so I just pick one long string and I'll just cut the rest. This is the easy way out, but I had to make a bunch of these flowers and I hate weaving in my ends. But that's it, just make a bunch more for your unicorn. When you're done, you can go ahead and sew down all your pieces after you've stuffed them. I like to do my horns first and then my ears. And I'm just using a simple whip stitch technique to sew them down. And for the flowers, I do suggest that you pin them down first just so you don't have to take them off and on when you are sewing down your flowers. And this is how it should look. It is so pretty. I did sew down some roses and leaves. I don't have a pattern on those yet, but I can link some really good tutorials online. If you were smart, you would have stitched or embroidered your eyes and nose way before you closed your pillow, but I didn't. So if you didn't do it, then here is how I got around that problem. And here is our finished unicorn. I did glue down the eyes, but for the eyelashes, I did the technique that you just saw for the nose. And as a last minute accessory, I crocheted a long strand and then knotted white yarn into it to make a vine for the unicorn horn. It is a little unstable, but it was too cute to pass up. Thank you so much for crocheting this with me. If you have any questions, just be sure to comment down below and I'll be sure to read them. And if you need any pattern written down, that will be in the description. Thank you so much for doing this with me, and this is Onyii.